that for each and every person, there's a unique song that the universe is playing just for them. A song that only they can hear. Marching to the beat of our own drum leads to our greatest and most authentic self-expression, the gift we are meant to share with the world. In part 1 of my Her Own Drum inspirational video series, I'm visiting Zuzak Cosmetics, where founder and owner Loriann Zuzak shares her insight and wisdom on her journey to create a business infused with a passion that is changing the way the beauty industry relates to women. Wow. Loriann Zuzak, it is such a pleasure to be sitting here with you today. The day has arrived.
Yes, it has.
Where we get to go to the heart of this beautiful business that you've created. So thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing me to come into your space.
My pleasure.
So the first question I have, I'd like all of us to know today is, let me explore the idea behind a defining moment for you in the creation of Zuzak. Tell us a little bit about that.
What was going on in my life at the time that I decided to create the line was my husband and I had just come back with my little girl from Colombia. We'd been there for almost 3 years. And I had received a small amount of money that I wasn't expecting. And I was a new mom, and I wanted to go back to my makeup work, but I wasn't going to be able to go back working long hours in film or any of the types of work that I had been doing before I had kids. Mm-hmm. So I received an investment, and it opened up some possibility for me. And I thought, I'm going to set myself up so that I can work my own way. I had considered going to work for other companies, but the big problem was I'm honest. And I won't tell somebody something looks good just because it's on trend or because I think it looks a certain way. Yeah. I have a whole different way I approach my work. So setting up my line in the studio gave me the freedom to mother my girl the way I wanted to mother her. It allowed me to follow my way of doing things, even if it wasn't always going to be popular. That was the beginning. I don't know if it was a defining moment, but it was like an opportunity that came up. Yeah. And I picked up the breadcrumb, right?
That's cool.
Looking more like an adventure on the way.
Yeah, the breadcrumb, I love that. Speaking about that, obviously those moments of inspiration, the breadcrumbs that happen along the way, you've probably had many since then, right? But I think, for all of us, we need to be honest. There are moments that define us in terms of our struggle. And the idea that sometimes we stumble and sometimes we question ourselves and we doubt ourselves. So what I'd like to know is, was there a time where you felt like giving up?
Was there a time where I felt like giving up? This is the question about certainty. And the truth is I don't know if I've ever really been certain at all. I've known what seemed to be going well, ways that I wanted things to be different. I think the messages about giving up or packing it in happened when I was listening to the advice of people who didn't know what I valued in my business, or started painting a picture for me of some cockamamie, convoluted jalopy of a business they thought I should start making and running. And I was like, I could make all of that and I won't want to work in it.
Right.
The other thing was I kept comparing myself to men that had really succeeded. And that's kind of a tricky thing when you're parenting and you're taking care of a lot of hearts around you, and that you wholeheartedly want to be available and do that. So I think there were points where I was listening to what other people were saying and considering their idea of what they thought I should be doing, and I realized that all of that exterior was a hell no. Having to go, I want to keep doing this my way.
Your way, yeah.
Yeah, like actually the feelings of giving up are kind of a gift, because it's a chance to reassess everything. What's working, what's not? Where am I heartfelt in this? Yeah. What's feeling not wholehearted anymore? So I guess also we could say that along the way there were some things that I did let go of or give up. Mm-hmm. I've definitely done that as I've grown inside this shop.
That's fantastic. Wholeheartedness.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedness, I think that's the key to it all, really. Mm-hmm. I think that's the center point of us being here and doing what we do. Right. So I've had the pleasure of sitting in your chair many times.
Yes, you have.
Let me just tell you what a pleasure it is. I want to let everybody in a little bit more, those who don't know you and those who haven't been or had the privilege to sit in your chair. What kind of an experience is it like for a client to come into your space, sit in your chair, and and have their makeup done?
When someone comes into my space, it's so funny because I think the first thing that happens is they realize I'm not operating like everybody else does in the industry. Or maybe I'm not that different. I feel as though what I do is different. So when a human being meets me, the way I've set up my shop, and you know this because you've experienced it, I don't want people around us. I don't want noise. I want this calm, centered, beautiful bubble of uninterrupted time that I get to work inside while I'm with you. So when someone comes in, the first thing I'm actually looking for is how she's feeling. And then once I get a sense of that, what we're there to create that day. So there's a technical aspect to my work, which I feel proud about, and I know that I do better than a lot of the gals around me that are calling themselves makeup artists in my industry. So we have to deal with the technical requirements of what her big thing is. Women are often coming to me on special and important days or where they're creating or doing something new in their career, and I'm going to be there to help them feel ready, right? So it's how is she feeling now? How does she want to feel when she leaves my chair today? And how am I going to do that? It's this really thoughtful and sneaky synthesis of all of her, so that when we set to work and I'm working on her, that we create exactly what she wants. And maybe even a few things that she didn't realize that she wanted, right?
Of course, yeah.
But when I was starting out in my career, I never intended to work in a salon setting. I had always thought my work would always be in film. And when I had the opportunity to work in a salon, honestly, I was young and kind of arrogant about it. I thought to myself, well, I'll take the work, but this isn't why I'm in this industry.
Right.
And the first time I had the opportunity it was a teaching gig actually, it was a lesson. And I had a woman come into me, and she wouldn't even meet her own gaze in the mirror when we started. And there was a lot of confusion about how she was doing things. And so I did my synthesis. We worked through the things that could help her create what she wanted to create and feel. And by the end of the lesson, everything about her had changed. Her posture had changed, her willingness to look at herself. And for that moment anyway, she felt okay about it, I think. Yeah. And she got up out of my chair, she sailed away. And I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
That felt amazing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm getting something out of it too. You know, it's not just the clients.
Of course.
I'm being fulfilled every time I have the honor of working with them.
Oh, that's beautiful. So it's way more than makeup, right? I mean, this experience that you're creating for people it's sacred, and there's something really holy about it. That's how I would describe it. You create a space that people can feel a little bit more like themselves, and I think that's such a beautiful gift that you give to people. So I commend you for that, and I thank you for that, because you've helped me so much on my journey so far. So the idea of this next question I kind of formulated around, this message of the song that I've got coming called Her Own Drum. I want to know specifically, speaking to women, because I think this message is universal, but let's dive in a little bit more and talk to women specifically. What advice would you give to women in order for them to pursue the passions that they have and march to the beat of their own drum?
So marching to the beat of your own drum and following your passion. I always take passion and move it back to wholeheartedness. That always feels better for me. Passion kind of sounds like boxes you're checking off for other people. You notice that? It's kind of in vogue to talk about everything you're passionate about. And it kind of gets flung around. And it's not quite as brave as being really willing to start choosing the things that are crying out in your heart for attention. In my work inside the studio, right? It's like the relationship I'm actually dealing with is the relationship between you and you, right? So when you're a woman, it's like you want advice about following your passion or following your heart. It's an inside job, has nothing to do with anyone around you. And your willingness to call yourself out on your crap and be honest with yourself is everything. And being willing to tune in and be aware of it, right? I'll meet women that'll say, I don't know, Loriann, I don't know what I want, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And they know. It's that the thing that comes up when you ask, they won't even give themselves permission to say it out loud. They don't want to acknowledge it, because if you acknowledge it, now you got to do something, right? So it's easier to go, I don't know.
Right.
So whenever a sweetheart comes in like that, I'm always like, you probably know. You don't even have to tell me. But whatever bubbled up there, that needs addressing.
Right.
Because it's asking for attention. Other things that I think are important, I was thinking about this last night before we talked. The idea about approval and the approval of others. And this message that gets slung all around social media about being fearless and not caring what anybody else thinks.
Right.
It's all an inversion. I don't like it.
Right.
Because the truth is if you're really scared in the right kind of way,
It's
a good signal. That's a good sign that you're getting uncomfortable, that you feel vulnerable when you go to speak it. It means it's really close to you, and it probably means something. Wanting the approval of others, we all want the approval of our beloveds, of our families, of the people we work and serve. I don't think you need to erase that in order to move forward. What you do need to do is prioritize what your heart wants first, even if you're not going to get the approval. But you don't have to be fearless, and you don't have to ignore the approval of everybody or try to pretend like there isn't a piece of you inside that wants it, because it's true.
Yeah, right.
I think it's a sign of respect to the people around you that you've been wholehearted about involving yourself with. As far as knowing or not knowing, I think it's more about permission, that the way you move through what you say you want is going to teach you more than anything. Even the journey of doing the work about yourself. So it's like the idea that it's like the buck is going to fall with you when you really start moving.
Yeah.
And courage isn't things like bungee jumping and taking a picture of yourself with no makeup on. That's not courageous. What's courageous is going, I've got this ugly little baby dinosaur idea in my heart that I'd love to create and try, but I don't know what it's going to look like yet, right? And it's like, and I want to show it to the world for whatever reason. I want to put that out there.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's way more brave in my world, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I said honesty, did I?
Yeah,
because that's important. If you're lying to yourself, there's no amount of tap dancing around it. You know what else is another thing I was thinking? So, following your heart. You've heard me say this in the chair how many times? It's a hell yes, or it's a hell no, right?
Yep.
I think women, we cause ourselves a lot of issues when you're getting a hell no. And so what you do is you sit down with pen and paper, keeping everybody, I'm going to say yes to everybody, and I'm going to make a pros and cons list. And I'm going to work this out in my mind. And your intuition and your body is screaming, no! And you don't want to listen to it.
Right.
So I'm like, how could I make this okay so I can say this is a hell yes? Like, you're not going to create magic being that way. So it seems kind of scary to think that some decision making could be that simple. But if it's a hell no, and your body is giving you that, you don't waste any time trying to turn it into a yes and a lie.
Right.
You know, lots of times women in the chair too will come to me and like, they want to try something new, but they're like, where am I going to get the time? I am so maxed.
Yeah.
I am so tired, right?
Yep.
The challenge, again, it's like the opposite. It's not what you think. You're not going to add anything first. You're going to be courageous, and you're going to make a list of everybody and everything you've been half-hearted about and say no.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, see?
Yikes.
Ooh, right?
Yeah.
That feels scary, doesn't
Yikes,
it?
yeah.
It's like, I want to be everything to everyone. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
You can't even do it. And
can't.
it's full of
It's
ego.
impossible.
Even
Yeah.
if you're getting
For sure,
all
for
the
sure.
pats on the back. Oh, good girl. You
Yeah.
do that. You be, you be all the things, right? So that feels to me like a really important thing is whatever you're going to add on, something has to go.
Right. Yeah.
And that way there'll be enough of you left to make the thing you came to make.
Amen.
Or do.
Amen
Yes.
to that. That was, wow. I mean, the wisdom in that answer. I just was inspired listening to you. Thank you. That's amazing. That's one of the things I've admired about you for so long. It's just that you're so wise. Beyond your years wise.
Nah.
It's not just the hair. Although your hair is amazing and beautiful. So my last question, this is a bit of a surprise question. And it's, you think of synchronicities and the way the universe kind of comes together and this stuff all comes together. Okay, so you just started talking about courage. And my question was very simple. What's your definition of courage?
Being really, really honest and truthful about who you are and what you want. Because a lot of the times it won't look like anything you've been told you're supposed to want. Ooh, I'm going to link something else up to that because I've been thinking about it a lot this week. Joy and play drive in human beings. And I think there's kind of, you've heard people have said before that courage is about being vulnerable, or that you need to be in a vulnerable state, feel fear, and then do it anyway. I think that's all really true. But our society really, we kind of devalue play and joy, don't we? We talk about wanting it and saying you should have it, but I think it's a pretty neat cocktail if you've got a heart's desire and it makes you feel a little heebie-jeebies to you kind of want to do it.
Yeah.
And that somewhere inside that thing is seated some kind of joy or play for you. You mix all of that together, that's a pretty great recipe for some creating an experience.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, man. I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this. And
I was honored that you invited me.
It was my pleasure. And maybe we'll do another one sometime. Who knows? Maybe this will be the start of something really cool.
I would like that.